Welcome back, everyone. We're here with our second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. So glad you could join me, especially if you're here on a Sunday when the show debuts. Yesterday, we had a really fantastic show. Hopefully, you got to tune into that as well. We talked about everything from different types of blenders, what is the best blender to use, and is there a blender that isn't made of plastic? I gave you my thoughts on that. We talked about the MTHFR gene mutation and how it might affect people with the virus. We talked about Ayurveda and its thoughts on ghee and whether maybe I recommend ghee for you or not. If so, what brands you might want to look at. We talked about using your Integrative Health Practitioner certification in certain states and how we make that easier if you're looking to become a health coach or maybe the health coach in your home. What else did we talk about? We talked about high oxalates, latex allergies, and hives. And then we also chatted about H. pylori versus the CBO protocol, benefits of Manuka honey, downside of Manuka honey, upsides of cabbage juice, downsides of cabbage juice, and so much more. So that was episode 2360. You can find all podcasts at stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, let's dive into today's questions. I'm opening up the document for today, and it looks like our first question is from Richard. All right, let's see what Richard has to say. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I would really appreciate it if you would provide your thoughts on dry fasting. I tried to search for previous shows where you spoke of this, but couldn't find one where you spoke of dry fasting in detail. Its pros, cons, and if there's ever a time where it should be used. Some say it's dangerous and should never be done, and others think it has its uses. I have a lot of cysts, lipomas, not sure which ones, all of my body. In a podcast I was listening to said dry fasting might work to get rid of them because when the body is dehydrated, it will look for dysfunctional cells, tissues, etc. to dissolve and extract water from. What do you think about all this? Thank you for answering my question. Hope you're having a great day. All right, Richard, thank you for writing in. Of course, I have to give you my disclaimer off the bat. I'm not here to provide you with any medical advice, any medical treatment plans, any medical cures, or any medical diagnosis. I typically never recommend dry fasting. And the reason is this. Dry fasting is the most extreme out of all fasts. So a dry fast would be this. A dry fast is when instead, regular fasting, you can look at it a few ways. You might be doing something like our Equal Life detox, right? So that's a fast, liquid fast for those first 2 days. Or you might be doing a water fast. And a water fast is just as it says, you're only drinking water during the day. And then a dry fast is you're not consuming anything. No water, no anything, just that's it. You're just not eating and you're not drinking. All right, so that's the difference, simply put. Okay, so my recommendations are always this. Again, I'm not providing any medical advice. I would recommend the 21-day functional medicine detox by Equal Life First. You can find it at stephencabral.com/detox. Again, if you don't want to use Equal Life, no problem, no hard feelings. I never mind at all. Just look for a company, a brand that is functional medicine based, meaning like it's by practitioners, that practitioners use this in actual practice. It's not just a marketing-based company. And then feel free to use that. But anyway, 21-day first. Then after that, you can start to look into maybe a day, 2 days of just water fasting. Again, your choice, looking at that. And then you say, okay, I may want to try a dry fast for a single day, from going to bed one night until, let's say, dinner the next night. No anything. That's your prerogative. Again, I never have had to get people to dry fasting. What I'll do is I'll do the 21-day detox like I just spoke about, but I have people use proteolytic enzymes. So you can find proteolytic enzymes at stephencabral.com/shop. That'll send you over to Equal Life. Just type in Proteo, Proteo, lytic, Lytic. Proteolytic enzymes, you can use chlorophyll or the proteolytic enzyme, and you just take 2 to 4 capsules on an empty stomach before you eat, a couple hours before you eat, when you wake up, and that can help with a lot of issues that people may be having. So, all right, hopefully that was helpful. Gail's up next. Hi, Dr. C. Thank you so much for all you offer to us humans seeking to learn and find health and balance in our lives. Thank you, Gail. I'm currently going through the program to become a certified integrative health practitioner, level 1, and then level 2 health coach to add to my work as an acupuncturist, and I'm so excited to have finally found the knowledge I have been looking for. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Rifaximin to treat SIBO. My friend was diagnosed by her ND with SIBO, and Rifaximin is part of her protocol to treat it. Thank you for your wisdom on this and so many other health health-related topics. Happy to talk about this. I've actually talked about Rifaximin many times. Basically, this is an antibiotic that's used to treat small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. The problem I have with this is that a lot of doctors, not talking about naturopathic doctors, because I'll explain that in a moment, a lot of doctors will just give Rifaximin for bacterial overgrowth in the gut, and their patient will feel phenomenal for like 2 weeks to 8 weeks, and then they start to get back to bloating. Why? Because, again, conventional medicine has a reductionist viewpoint. Oh, there's bacterial overgrowth. Why don't we give this special antibiotic? Oh, it's going to kill this bacteria. Wow, look at that. Person feels better when the bacteria starts to shrink, but then guess what? It grows back, right? And that's because they don't know a natural protocol to then rebalance the gut. So I've seen, I don't know, hundreds of people that have been given Rifaximin in my practice, and we have to help them naturally. So again, we use the CBO protocol. To my knowledge, there's nothing better in the world than the CBO protocol. It took about a decade to develop. I myself had SIBO, Candida, and H. pylori. So again, I'm not saying it treats those things. What I'm saying is it helps the underlying root cause imbalances that help to rebalance the gut. Now, the difference is the naturopathic doctor that she's seeing may be using Rifaximin as a antibacterial and then be using certain probiotics. But here's the thing. I honestly believe that you need to work on the Candida as well. Most people have some yeast overgrowth if they also have SIBO, because it's just an opportunistic, it overgrows. And Rifaximin doesn't do a lot about the biofilm. So again, I would look into the CBO protocol. It's a biofilm disruptor. It's going to be antimicrobials that would take the place of the Rifaximin. Again, not giving medical advice. And it then will help repopulate, all right? But again, I'm not saying the ND is not doing the right thing. They might have a phenomenal protocol. And again, then fantastic. No problem at all. Michael's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. What could be causing the burning pin sensation in the hands and feet? Tested negative on H. pylori and Candida. Tested positive for mold and possible SIBO. All right. So again, when we look at these things, we say, what could be causing burning or pins and needles? Okay. So dysregulated blood sugar is one. Poor circulation. 2, a pinched off, well, if it's hands and feet, that's a different story. Well, it says hands and fit. Maybe it's supposed to say fingers. It just says FIT. So I thought it meant feet, but maybe it's fingers. So let's go with hands and fingers. So that could be a pinched off nerve from the vertebrae. So, or at least in the cervical spine. So that's definitely a reason as well. I've also seen dysregulated B vitamins. So low levels or too high levels of your B vitamins. So that's important to look at that. The mold toxicity causes all sorts of issues, and this could certainly be one of them. So could Lyme. So these are all things that I would look at. I believe you may have run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test, but if you haven't, it would be great to run that, of course. And then I would also look at heavy metals as well. So your B vitamins would show up on your Candida metabolic and vitamins test. Your zinc to copper would show up, on your minerals and metals test. I would also look at, too high levels of omega-6 is not usually the case in this particular issue, but you never know. So whenever possible, you run the big 5 if possible, and that's where I'd start. Yeah, those things that I just mentioned. All right. Michael's up next. Hi, Dr. Rawl. What would cause someone to wake up every 2 hours at night to frequently urinate? A good question. So I would look up Nocturia at stephencabral.com/podcast. I've talked about this topic many, many times. I'll give you a couple tips right now, but definitely look up Nocturia. It's Nocturia, or just look up like frequent urination. You'll find those at stephencabral.com/podcasts in that search bar. So the first thing I would ask the person is, how long has this been going on? And is it every night? If they say, well, it's basically every night, it's been happening now for years, I'd say, okay, we need to look at the main reason why, if it's a male, and that is a inflamed prostate, okay? So then we'd say, well, what's causing the inflamed prostate? And then we'd look at like heavy metals like cadmium, lower levels of zinc, bacterial-based infection, yeast-based infections like Candida I'm talking about. So we would start to look at those reasons why. And okay, so that's one. The second is that any high level of inflammation can then affect the prostate, or I've seen the virus do this as well to people. And the last one I wanted to give you was stress. Okay, so people that are not producing enough melatonin are then not producing enough what's called antidiuretic hormone, which is the hormone that's produced to basically tell your body, hey, we're asleep now. We're going to turn off some non-essential processes that can wait until we wake up. So one of those is antidiuretic hormone, which means that if you produce that, you don't wake up to urinate at night. Turns off that sensation. So that's important to look at. All right. So hopefully those help. And then definitely look up Nocturia and the other ones I mentioned. All right, this one's from Anonymous. Anonymous says, hi there. Thank you for all the great work that you do. It has made a huge impact on my life. I've been working on improving my gut health for almost 4 months now, and I've noticed some improvements. Good for you, Anonymous. That's great. And thank you for the nice words. I appreciate that. I realize that I'm extremely sensitive to lectins. I've always been, but I never knew they had a name. So what I'm wondering is, can I still use oils from lectin-heavy nuts or seeds on my skin? Things like sunflower oil or chia seed oil. I'm also trying to resolve a histamine issue that I have, which came as a result of my leaky gut. So while I've eliminated high histamine foods for a while, I'm not sure if I can use them topically. Example, with avocado hair masks. I look forward to your insights. All right. So you're in the beginning of your journey. You're not in the very beginning, but you're in the beginning. And I love that. And because I want to try to do my best to help. So check out all my podcasts on lectins. Check out my podcast on the plant paradox. All right. Go to stephencabral.com/podcasts. In the search box, type in lectin. Then type in on a separate search. So listen to those. Then on a separate search, type in plant paradox. All right. Listen to that one. And then on another one, type in histamines, because you'll understand that. And I was the same place as you, that you could be predisposed. There's no doubt about it. Like I'm predisposed to mastocytosis and histamine issues, like no doubt about it. But there's a load that your body will be able to take, right? Once you empty your rain barrel, you can deal better with lectins and histamines, et cetera. So there's most likely, again, I can't give you a diagnosis, most likely an imbalance in the gut. My highest recommendation is running the Candida metabolic and vitamins test and the bacteria and parasite stool test. Figure out what's going on, rebalance that with something like the CBO protocol. If there's parasites, looking at something like the para support protocol. That's what I would do. Okay, now in terms of can you use oils from lectin-based nuts and seeds? Well, the thing is, yes, there's still some lectins in those oils, but I'll tell you this. The more something is processed and the higher heat it's processed under, the less lectins that thing has. That's why pressure cooking something or soaking and then cooking, beans takes out a lot of the lectins. So, that's one of my big recommendations to people is that if you're looking to still eat a lot of these particular types of foods, is that you begin to just learn from a better standpoint of how to cook these things. So what I would say is this, and I can give you, my advice on, because I just told you that, dropping these down, cooking them at a higher heat is going to help you with the lectins. But the best oils, so let me just give you, because I've given this recommendation many times, and maybe I'll do a whole podcast on it if this is an interesting topic. So olive oil is always one of the best ones you can use basically for everything. So low levels of lectins, but it's going to give you all of the oleic acid. It's going to give you antioxidants. It's a monounsaturated fat. Really great one as well. Some people like ghee, and they might want to use that, or coconut oil. These can be lower in lectins as well. Macadamia nut oil. So if you want like a nut-based oil or nut-based milk, sometimes people like to use macadamia oil as well. And then the last one is avocado. And I know that you said you're kind of being careful of avocado. I totally get it. Avocado has actually a lot of plant-based compounds which are good for you. But again, we always have to talk about the individual. It may not be right for you, but that can typically be tolerated pretty well. I think the best thing to do is simply start with a tablespoon or less at a meal and see how you feel with it mixed over foods. And if it gives you any type of brain fog or skin rash or any issues like that you feel the histamine response from or inflammation response from, then of course it was either the dose, so too much, or you're simply not right for you with that food. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. Next question is from, last question of the day is from Jade. Jade says, hello, I have recently come out of having 4 months of antibiotics in the hospital, plus I've also come off contraception, the hormone coil. Obviously, this has sent my hormones and metabolism into chaos. I feel so puffy and bloated and lethargic. I'm such a healthy person, eat well and exercise. I can barely get out of bed. I'm about to start a liver cleanse, but would you recommend this? And can you suggest anything else to help? Thanks so much. All right. So again, without providing medical advice, my personal opinion is if you can run the big five, run the big five. It's going to look at all the underlying root cause imbalances to why you feel the way that you do. But if you can only run one lab out of the big five, no doubt about it, I'm running the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism. No doubt about it. I actually just talked about it on Wednesday's show. So hopefully you checked out Wednesday's show on oral contraceptives, birth control, etc. So definitely check that out because it sounds like you're someone that's dealing with estrogen dominance. I also have a whole podcast category called Hormones, Balancing Hormones. Check it out at stephencabral.com/podcast. Scroll through the images at the top. Stop right at the rebalancing hormones. That's the podcast category that I would go deep on. Remember, there's always an answer why. We can help you customize your plan by running if you go to stephencabral.com/labs, you will choose the stress, mood, and metabolism lab. That's the lab for you. It's also a direct link at stephencabral.com/hormones-test, I believe. Okay. So again, if you don't want to run it with us, no problem at all. As I always say, you can run it with your local naturopathic doctor or integrative health practitioner level 2. All right. So that's exactly what I would do. Run the lab, and then I would complete the 21-day Equal Life detox. So that's how I would do it. Lab first, look at your baseline of where you're at, then start to clean up the body. You begin the 21-day detox 2 weeks before your appointment with your health coach, because then you'll be on it for an extra week. You'll let them know how it's going, and then they'll give you your customized program that you can begin right when you finish that 21-day detox. That's how we get clients the absolute best results possible. Remember, every single lab you run with Equal Life actually comes with a plan and a health coaching call. So, again, feel free to check out all these labs at stephencabral.com/labs. I hope you've had an amazing weekend, and I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. See you then.